Welcome back to another episode of TRIVI-yeah. I am your host, Dean Felix, and it's so good to have you here, guys. This is, of course, the podcast where you can learn something new, feel good about the things you already know, and dance like one person is watching. But that one person is very supportive of your weird dancing. You dance weird, but that's okay. First things first, the answer to last episode's bonus question is, of course, Isaac Asimov. So easy, you knew that, right? Isaac Asimov, one of the great science fiction writers of the 20th century, wrote a lot of really great novels and at least one really amazing short story called The Last Question. If you've never read this, you can probably find a PDF of it online. I highly encourage it. It's great. He also wrote the Foundation series of novels, which I have read the entire thing, and there's a TV show called Foundation, and I've never seen it. I hear it's really good, but I've never seen it because, I just cannot afford every streaming service. There are too many streaming services, and I wish I could afford them all. I wish, but as the band REM said, if wishes were trees, the trees would be falling. Listen to Reason. Reason is calling. And Reason is calling to tell you that you don't need every streaming service. No, you need to pick and choose, right? If you got to get rid of one, I don't know, probably Netflix, right? This episode, like every episode so far, has 10 multiple choice questions coming your way as we travel down that rabbit hole of trivia knowledge. What does that mean, the rabbit hole of trivia knowledge? I'm not going to tell you this time, okay? I think you will figure it out because you are so smart. You got that Isaac Asimov question right, and you didn't even hear the question because you didn't listen to the last episode, did ya? Did ya? Oh, you did? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry I got worked up there. I apologize. I love you. There, I said it. I love you. Well, okay, this got awkward. Let's just move on to a new segment. That's right, it's a new segment here. In the earlier episodes, I shared with you the goals I have for this podcast and my personal goals. Goal for the podcast is to get enough listeners that are so excited about the show that I experience actual fear. Personal goals, to be a guest on Doughboys, to become good friends with Jack Quaid, and to voice a cartoon character. So, did we reach any of these goals since the last episode? Let us find out. Oh, this is exciting. Oh my gosh, let's see here. No, we did not. Seems kind of like a waste of an envelope, but hey, at least it means the show must go on. There's still something to look forward to, something to work toward, and we can achieve these goals through trivia excellence. If you would like to email the pod, of course you can. TRIVI-yeah-podcast@gmail.com. No dash in there, of course. I want to hear from you. Tell me what you like about the show. Tell me if you think these intros are too long, or hey, maybe they're not long enough. More goals, more segments about the goals. Hey, okay, I will do it, but not right now. We'll save that for a future date. Right now, let's instead play a little TRIVI-yeah right after this. Welcome back to TRIVI-yeah. I love watching competitive sport climbing, which I watch on YouTube. Throughout the spring and summer, there are 14 World Cup competitions where climbers from around the world represent their countries in 3 different disciplines. There's lead, boulder, and speed. Speed is my least favorite of the 3, maybe because it's over so fast. It's still pretty great, but I really love watching boulder and lead. For my lack of money, it is the best spectator sport that no one seems to even know about. If you want to see what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and search for the letters IFSC. There's a ton of content there. I love it. Quick explanation of boulder and lead. So in boulder, the climbers climb 4 different problems. It's one boulder at a time. There's no rope, just vibes, and a mat to catch their fall. In lead, they climb a tall wall with around 40 holds along the way up. And yeah, they're definitely roped in for that one. Now I'm trying to think about what it is that makes this sport so engaging, right? Perhaps it's the combination of problem solving and athleticism. No matter how much the climbers practice, they're usually going to be presented with at least one problem they've never seen before, and they have to try to work out a way to solve it using their personal strengths. The route setters always place the holds with an intended method of climbing them. They call this the beta. But often, climbers will find new and surprising ways up, and when they do, it's called breaking beta. Or maybe breaking the beta, I'm not sure. So when they break beta, I'm telling you, it's more exciting than a slam dunk, and I am a known slam dunk enjoyer. My favorite climbers, they move methodically up the wall. They're undoubtedly very, very strong, yet they never appear to be muscling their way up. It's like watching someone slowly and precisely dance their way up the wall. It really is beautiful to watch. And there's music, too. Each World Cup site has its own dedicated DJ who plays tunes while the climbers climb. There's also a PA announcer who encourages the climbers and pumps up the crowd while it's going on. It gives the whole thing this party atmosphere. You'll hear, music-wise, a lot of EDM, pop, even heavy metal. Now, if I were DJing, I think I'd be tempted to play songs that contain lyrics that could be interpreted as being about climbing. Like, I don't know, like Creed's Can You Take Me Higher? No, that's a little too on the nose. Also, it's Creed. But I think I might have to include Linkin Park's One Step Closer. You know, which goes, I'm one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break! You know, beta, breaking the beta. Yeah, hell yeah! If I was climbing up there, that would pump me up. I would be so pumped for like the 5 seconds of climbing before I fell. I'm not a climber. I'm a trivia podcast host. Speaking of, it's time for question 1. Time for question 1. Time for question 1. Time. In climbing, the men and women each have their respective stars. So if you watch regularly, you quickly get to know who the best climbers are, as they consistently reach the semifinals and finals. Japan is loaded with talent, so much so that it's kind of a shame they can only send 6 athletes per discipline to each World Cup event. The US team is decent, but much stronger in the women's division than the men's, so being an American myself, I find myself watching the women's events more so I can cheer on the US standouts. But I pretty much root for everyone. And so do the athletes too. It's cool how they all seem to be friends and really want each other to succeed. There aren't a lot of cold-blooded killers in this sport. And I think there's a reason for that too. I feels like if you allow negative energy to get into your mind while you're on the wall, you're more likely to mess up. One of the US climbers, Natalia Grossman, actually smiles as she climbs up the wall, and she's great. But the best women's climber isn't Japanese or American. Sport climbing has only been in the last 2 Olympics, and she's won gold in both of them. Add those to her 49 World Cup gold medals and 8 World Championship golds, and it's easy to see why she is considered to be the greatest women's climber of all time. Who is this incredible climber? A. Brooke Raboutou. B. Janja Garnbret. C. Oriane Bertone. Or D. Suh Chao-yun. The answer is B. Janja Garnbret. 26-year-old Slovenian Janja Garnbret only competes in a handful of World Cup events each year, kindly allowing some of her competitors to experience the feeling of winning a gold medal. She's so dominant that many people, including myself, think that she could compete with the men. Seriously. She's more dominant than Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan were in their primes, so I suggest taking advantage of watching her compete while she's still in hers. No need for excitement or hullabaloo. It's just question 2. Gold is a precious metal, and its bright, orangish-yellow color, rarity, malleability, and non-corrosiveness has led to its use in jewelry, artwork, and coinage throughout history. Gold is 19 times as rare as silver. However, silver is tougher to reach, which makes me wonder why gold is currently almost 90 times as expensive. Better branding, I guess. But when it comes to rarity, gold has nothing on platinum, which is 30 times as rare as gold. However, the metal that is considered to be the most rare and valuable isn't primarily used in jewelry, with a few exceptions. Instead, over 80% of its yearly consumption is from being used in catalytic converters alongside platinum and palladium, which is why catalytic converters are such big targets for thieves. Coming in at atomic number 45 on the periodic table, what is the name of this ultra-expensive noble metal? Is it A. Rhodium, B. Iridium, C. Cadmium, or D. Tungsten? The answer is A. Rhodium. Solid rhodium jewelry is extremely rare, mostly because of its high melting point and poor malleability. But it is sometimes electroplated onto white gold or platinum to make jewelry pieces more reflective. It's called rhodium flashing, and this thin layer does wear away over time and use. But the memory of being flashed, well, that can last a lifetime. Question 3! According to Steak School by Stanbroke, which appears to not really be a school but instead a weblog about cooking, a rare steak should have a final cooked temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius. This leaves the center of the steak very soft, cool to the tongue, and a special shade of red called blue. And the USDA suggests that you do not eat it. But what do they know? But if you are completely set on avoiding bacteria, medium rare is a fine way to go, particularly if you order the filet mignon, the most tender cut of steak you can get. Filet is French for filet, or fillet, I guess. But what does mignon mean? A, soon, B, soft, C, marble, or D, cute? The answer is D, cute. Mignon also has shades of sweet or dainty to its translation, which is why after ordering a filet mignon at a fine dining restaurant, it is usually tradition that when your steak arrives, you show approval by going, "Aww!" Why are we here? Where are we going? Who is behind all of this? What should I get for lunch? What is this question for? Cuties is the name for those sweet, easy-to-peel, seedless little mandarin oranges available in prepackaged mesh bags here in the States. Their logo usually includes a cute anthropomorphic fruit wearing sunglasses and who is partially unpeeled via an actual zipper. Often simply called mandarins, a mandarin orange is not an orange. An orange, also known as a sweet orange, is a hybrid of a mandarin orange and a pomelo, which I find super confusing. How do you take a mandarin orange, cross it with something else, and somehow that subtracts the mandarin from it, leaving you with just an orange? Huh? But wait, it gets more convoluted. Cuties are also hybrids of mandarin oranges. What are they crossed with? Oranges! This is insanity. Oh, but there is more. Cuties aren't always the same fruit. There are 3 different varieties of cuties that you might be getting depending on the month. That's like sometimes your can of Coke has Pepsi in it. So, October, that's the only month when all 3 varieties of cuties are available at the same time. And May is the only month when none of them are available. You keep those May cuties away from me. They're no good. All 3 varieties are considered mandarins, but they have their own names. The first 2 are clementines and W. murcots, an absurd name for a fruit. But what is the 3rd mandarin variety of cuties? A. Satsumas. B. Bergamots. C. Rangpurs. Or D. Tangos. The answer? D. Tangos. Tangos are a type of tangerine, and so are W. murcots. They have the same seasons, so they're available the same months. Tangos are actually a hybrid of W. murcots being cross-pollinated by who knows what. Seriously, no one knows. It was an accident. It wasn't me. Tangos and W. murcots are both tangerines. Tangerines are mandarins. Clementines are mandarins, but they're not tangerines. And all of them are cuties. Confusing? You bet. But they're so easy to peel and taste so good that I'm willing to overlook it. Besides, W. murcot sounds like a lawyer, and I cannot afford to be sued. Nutritious, delicious, and litigious. W. murcot, attorney at law. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, fellas, wait till you hear this. Oh my gosh. Oh, don't say. I can't believe it. What y'all talking about over there? Nothing. We were just talking about question 5. Well, shoot. The first gasoline-electric hybrid car wasn't the Toyota Prius. It was actually a Porsche. The Lohner Porsche Semper Vivus was a race car designed in 1900 and had a combustion engine that powered a generator which sent electric charge to the wheel hubs. A commercial version of the race car was called the Mixed. Yes, it was technically a mixed race car. Let's acknowledge that and move on. Despite their early invention, hybrid cars would take nearly a century to become popular, mostly due to how expensive the technology was. Now they're everywhere, and they are usually a less expensive option than buying a fully electric vehicle, at least up front. The other big reason why buyers choose hybrids over EVs is being able to take longer trips without having to worry so much about the battery running out and desperately needing to find a charging station. What is the generally accepted name automakers use for this uneasy feeling? Is it A, charge fatigue, B, long trip idation, C, driver's dread, or D, range anxiety? The answer is D, range anxiety. Range anxiety sums the whole feeling up pretty good, but I think it would have been more fun if they went with panic at the distance.
Oh, bro! Bro, this is 6, bro! Bro, did you make this? Oh, bro! Bro, this is so 6! Is this your question? Bro, this question is 6!
Evie Hone was an Irish artist from the early to mid-1900s. See what I did there? Went from Evie to Evie? Yeah, pretty clever. Like many future Americans, Evie Hone contracted polio as a child, seriously affecting her mobility for the rest of her life and leaving her with the use of only one hand. She overcame these challenges, and as a painter, she was considered an early pioneer of Cubism. But in the 1930s, she moved away from mostly painting to focus on a different art discipline, which she then became famous for. Evie Hone was deeply religious, which is reflected in most of her art. Her most notable works include a depiction of the crucifixion, which is located in the chapel at Eton College in Windsor. And there's also a piece titled My Four Green Fields, which is a complex composition depicting the 4 provinces of Ireland. This work won first prize in its category at the 1939 New York World's Fair, and it can now be found in Government Buildings, which is the confusing name of a single building in Dublin. Many of her other works can be found in galleries and churches in Ireland and across the world. What is this art discipline that Evie Hone is most known for? A. Ceramics. B. Stained glass. C. Sculpture. Or D. Jewelry design. The answer is B. Stained glass. There's a lot of different varieties of stained glass, but pot glass is made with the color in the actual glass itself as opposed to being added afterward. Each color involves its own different metal oxides being added to the molten mixture. Copper oxide for turquoise, selenium for pink, and even uranium for fluorescent yellow. Uranium glass is not radioactive enough to be dangerous, but polishing it with sandpaper will create a powder that's carcinogenic when inhaled, which is very dangerous, but also so hard to quit. Hi, I've got some great news. You just died and gone to question 7. Making glass is easy. Simply put some sand in your air fryer, heat that bad boy up to 3090 degrees Fahrenheit or 1700 degrees Celsius. Let it cool, and bam, you've got glass. You've also just melted your kitchen. Because of the insane heat requirements, most glass we use is soda lime glass. Soda ash is added to the sand, or silica, to lower the melting point a considerable amount, saving energy and kitchens. Unfortunately, this also lowers the chemical durability of the mixture, causing the finished product to have a tendency to dissolve when coming into contact with liquids. So instead of replacing all of your windows every time it rains, they add limestone to the mixture, which stabilizes it. But some glass is formed naturally, specifically around volcanoes, where it gets hotter than your average air fryer. Rhyolite is the most silica-rich of volcanic rocks, giving rhyolitic lava flows a higher viscosity than others. This viscosity keeps the atoms from escaping when the lava is quickly cooled, resulting in beautifully translucent, most often black, volcanic glass. When this volcanic glass fractures, it leaves very sharp edges, and is why it has been used for cutting tools and arrowheads throughout history. What is the name of this black volcanic rhyolitic glass? Is it A. basalt, B. Prince Rupert's drops, C. pyroclast, or D. obsidian? The answer is D, obsidian. Basalt is low in silica, so it has a lot of difficulty forming volcanic glass. But it can be found in something called a pillow lava, which occurs underwater. Pillow lavas look just like they sound, like a round pillow, but not very comfortable. Only slightly more comfortable than a MyPillow. Don't sue me, Mike Lindell. Don't do it! Not unless you want to deal with my lawyer, W. Murcott. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. That's 20 points, plus used all my tiles. That's another 50 for 70 points.
Not a word.
Yes, it is.
It's not a word.
It is a word.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
All right.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
You'll see.
Oh my gosh. Well, here it is. Look. To ask a lot of questions is to questionate.
I told you! Joe vs. the Volcano is a 1990 comedy starring Tom Hanks as the titular Joe, a downtrodden everyman with a terrible job and a joyless life. Things get worse for Joe when he is diagnosed with an incurable disease called a brain cloud. But he finds purpose in what remains of his life by volunteering to jump into a volcano as a sacrifice to the fire god worshipped by a tribe of Pacific Islanders. On the way to the volcano, Joe wins the love of a woman named Patricia. He loves her too, but as he admits, the timing stinks. Along the way, hilarity ensues, according to at least 67% of the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. I remember liking it, but that was a long time ago, so I guess I'm due for a rewatch. Patricia is played by what talented, funny actress who starred in many romantic comedies in the 80s and 90s, and is also the mother of funny, talented, and future friend of mine, Nepo baby Jack Quaid? Is it A, Julia Roberts, B, Renee Zellweger, C, Meg Ryan, or D, Goldie Hawn? The answer is C, Meg Ryan. One of Meg Ryan's first acting gigs was on the CBS soap opera As the World Turns. They're called soap operas because back when they were radio dramas, they were often sponsored by soap manufacturers. Soap operas are stories constructed with a continuous narrative that never ends. Each episode finishes on a cliffhanger, creating tension that can only be resolved when the show returns. For example, a character might be standing on an actual cliff. Then they move one step closer to the edge and are just about to... The hardest part about being a trivia podcast host isn't coming up with the interesting questions. It's staying hydrated. So when I get thirsty, I always reach for a cool, refreshing glass of... Question 9! The Meg is a science fiction action film from 2018 starring Jason Statham, who battles a gigantic prehistoric shark called the Megalodon. Megalodons were very real, though we don't know much about what they really looked like, since, well, they've been extinct for over 3.5 million years. In the movie, their size is extremely embellished, but basically they look like impossibly huge great white sharks. Now I say impossibly huge because experts have argued that even at the Megalodon's estimated length of almost 80 feet, or 24 meters, a great white-shaped shark would have a lot of trouble actually swimming. So the shark probably resembled a slenderer shark, like a lemon shark. The largest species of shark that still exists today is the uninspiringly named whale shark, ranging from 18 to 32 feet long. The smallest shark, however, can still fit in the palm of your hand when fully grown, and is the dwarf variety of what species of shark? A, lantern shark. B, mako shark. C, angel shark. Or D, nurse shark. The answer is A, lantern shark. Lantern sharks got their name because they glow, utilizing bioluminescence for camouflage, communication, and looking absolutely fabulous. Oh, hold on. I'm looking at a picture of one right now, and whoa, these things. Yes, they are pure nightmare fuel. Aw, who's a cute little nightmare? Yes, you are. Yes, you are!
You must retrieve the relic, for without it we are all doomed. It can be found in the Forbidden Temple in the ancient city of Shun-Ten.
So, that would make this, Quest Shun-Ten, then, huh?
You know what? Forget the relic. Just leave.
A sky lantern, also known as a Chinese lantern, is a paper balloon with an opening at the bottom where a small fire is located. The fire causes the paper balloon to float up into the air, and when dozens of them are set off at once, it creates a beautiful scene as the glowing paper lanterns illuminate the night sky. When launching sky lanterns, the hope is that the fire goes out before it lands, possibly starting a much bigger fire. They're now illegal in many parts of the world because of this exact danger. Sky lanterns work the same way a hot air balloon works, by heating the air inside the balloon, creating lift, because, as we all know, hot air rises. But why does hot air rise? Well, it's because heating the air lowers its what? A. Volume. B. Pressure. C. Mass. Or D. Density. The answer is D. Density. The lower density of the hot air inside the balloon compared to the cold air outside of it creates a buoyant force, making it float. It's the same principle as what happens with less dense objects underwater. Density is the ratio of mass to volume, so when you fill your lungs with air, you lower your body density, making it easier to float in the water. But once you're out of the water, you'll need to create a lot more buoyancy to float up into the air. So, if you're hoping to become a better climber than Janja Gonbret, here's my advice to you. Don't hold your breath. Bonus, 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 bonus question time. Sport climbing is of course related to rock climbing, which is an element of mountaineering. And when talking about mountaineering, it's hard not to think of Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain above sea level, where people pay anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 for the opportunity to just attempt a summit. In 2023, over 1,200 people paid the money to do this. Who was the first person to reach the summit of Mount Everest? Really, no one knows. In 1924, George Mallory and Andrew Irvine died in an attempt, but they could have possibly reached the summit. It wasn't until 1953 when the first documented ascent of Everest was achieved, with Sherpa Tenzing Norgay and Sir Edmund Hillary being the successful climbers of this attempt. Tenzing Norgay has been said to be from Tibet or Nepal. There's conflicting reports on that. However, it is known where Edmund Hillary is from. Do you know? Well, there's your bonus question. What country is Edmund Hillary from? Like always, no countdown timer for the bonus question, no multiple choices. If you don't already know, you'll have to go down your own rabbit hole of trivia knowledge to find the answer, or you can listen to next week's episode, which I really hope you do. I will have that answer for you in the beginning of the show. Hope to see you there. Thank you for listening to another episode of TRIVI-yeah. Like always, you can email the pod at TRIVI-yeah-podcast@gmail.com. If you think I got something wrong, let me know. I will correct it. You can tell me a bit of trivia maybe that you find interesting, or even add on to the trivia questions from the show, like this note that I got from listener Jonathan about Mad Hatters from last week's show. Jonathan wrote, "Also interesting, hatters were mad from mercury poisoning. They used mercury chloride to felt furs, which is crazy poisonous. It's water-soluble and bonds irreversibly to your nervous system." Well, that is interesting, Jonathan. Thank you for that.
I never felt a fur like you before.
As a result, I am going to cut back on my mercury chloride intake. Wish me luck, because I really love the taste. TRIVI-yeah is written and produced by me, including all the music and sound bites you hear, so I really hope you're enjoying it. I am, of course, your host, Dean Felix. Please join me next week for a new episode of TRIVI-yeah, a Quality Yarn production.